I want to rip your pee-pee out of its socket so that you can never reproduce again. Natural selection needs to take these weirdos out. That was the line of thought that a woman named Jessica Fernandez had back in January 2023 after she uploaded a video to TikTok exposing a man for glancing over at her several times and later politely trying to help her load her plates at the gym. If you haven't seen this video before, it went viral for all of the wrong reasons.
This is how to not approach girls at the gym.
I hate this. I hate when there's weirdos. It makes me so uncomfortable. Feral, like feral. Swatch. This is the 5 adds 5 pounds. Excuse me? You don't have to do that, it's okay. No, it's okay, I got it. Thank you though.
Most people that watched this clip concluded that there was nothing disastrous in how the man conducted himself, let alone disturbing enough to warrant you uploading this video of him up onto the internet for perhaps thousands or maybe even millions of people to see. In Fernandez's case, she had more than 600,000 followers. That number is potentially large enough to ruin a person's life. And one person who particularly had a problem with this was a TikToker of the name Joey Swole. He's an avid gym goer and a large creator with more than 7 million followers. Joey stitched a response to Fernandez's video saying that her clip was unambiguously cruel and callous to a person who was only trying to perform an act of kindness.
But it's very sad that you took an act of kindness, this man doing something for you, being kind, and turned him into a creep at the gym, trying to make yourself out to be a victim, which you're not.
Joey thought that the man wasn't staring, but rather glancing in her direction. It could be that he saw her phone pointed directly at him and that drew his attention. It could be that he noticed her struggling with her weight, or that he was just people watching. There is a big difference between this and the actual harassment that sometimes goes on in gyms. The problem here was that to many people, this seemed like a boy who cried wolf situation. If you're going to blast a man's face all over social media for being a creep, you need to make sure that he's actually being a creep. Swole's response has been seen more than 8.5 million times. These are the sorts of videos that could have damaging effects if they're not handled delicately. And not only that, but it diminishes the experiences of people who are actually harassed in the gym. What made it worse was that many people within the comments of the original video were calling the man a white knight, saying that he would never offer to help another man with his plates, which is a completely unsubstantiated assumption. Perhaps this man in particular has never once asked another man if they needed help with their plates, but a lot of gym bros do. It happens all the time. I've been asked on several different occasions by various different men if I needed help setting up whilst I was at the gym. I mean, look at me, it was always going to happen. For the most part, the gym is meant to be a positive experience because everyone within those walls have the exact same goals. They want to get healthier and they want to feel better about how they look. By bringing in phones and blasting these videos on social media, despite it being quite normal behavior, people like Fernandez are putting others at risk. Not only that, but saying that you want to rip out his reproductive organs and make it so that he can't procreate is unbelievably spiteful and callous. In the fallout of the Swole video blowing up in popularity, Fernandez was confronted with the fact that this video was a horrendous mistake to upload. She created a tweet longer explaining her rationale and apologizing profusely to the man within the video. She stated that she had been a victim of SA in the past, and though it wasn't an excuse, it was an explanation why she acted the way she did, why she was so quick to jump the gun on this sort of thing. She reflected on the fact that both men and women deal with very different problems in the realm of the opposite sex. She also stated that she felt as though the jokes that she made in the video were absolutely vile, saying that it took a media firestorm as well as thousands upon thousands of people explaining why this video could be considered problematic for her to finally understand that this simply wasn't fair on the man. She announced that she was going to be deleting the original video in response to this as it had no justification being up, but she also stated that she was going to keep the Twitlonger post up as to not seem as though she's trying to sweep things under the rug. She then plugged her fan house, which was a bit of a strange move, but nonetheless, for the most part, this was actually quite a good apology. It was much better than many of the other ones that we'll be discussing today, that's for sure. In this video, we're once again delving into the archives of TikTok to uncover the unholy, gaze at the grotesque, and witness the worst of what individuals, brands, and international criminals alike have to offer. This is the third part of my deleted TikTok series. There seems to be a real demand for it because the first two both performed extremely well, and I know that there are plenty more infamous TikToks left to be discussed. You don't need to watch the original two videos before this one, by the way, you can just watch them after this if you enjoy it. The order doesn't really matter. Also, very quick, if you happen to know about any other infamous deleted TikToks that I haven't yet discussed on this series, please let me know down in the comments, and maybe if there's a part 4 to this, I'll get to it then. With that said, from the cruel comments of one to another, Zach Krickenberger is the next TikToker that we'll discuss. And that's because last year, his distasteful comments about a small subject got him in a large amount of trouble. So if you don't know Krickenberger by name, you might know him by alias. The Tennessee-based healthcare worker is known on TikTok as TheSleepyParamedic, with, as of February 2024, more than 1 million followers on the app. The chances are that at least a few people watching this video will be followed to him, or at the very least would have seen a few of his videos in the past. But did you know that in July 2023, he came under heavy fire for some comments he made about one of his patients who happened to have dwarfism? I think that instead of myself explaining what he said, it might be better to get this straight from the horse's mouth. This is what the Sleepy Paramedic had to say.
My partner and I had responded to a call for someone who passed away. When we got there, the entire family was standing out in the yard. They were grieving, as you would expect them to. When we got inside, we found the deceased person in the back bedroom, and this person was 3 foot tall. Not a child, but a dwarf. And everyone at our service had always said, you know what, you never find a deceased dwarf. We really think they're immortal. They never get sick, they never call 911. We've never seen one. It's kind of weird. I've never ran into a dwarf in 12 years of doing this job until this day. Anyway, we were very professional. We went and told the family we're sorry, they're deceased, there's nothing that we can do. These are the next steps we're going to follow. We're going to wait for the coroner to show up. I'm in the passenger seat where no one can see me. My partner is in the driver's seat and in full view of the family. And of course, they're all staring towards us because someone just passed away. They dialed 911. They're all looking at us, making eye contact with my partner. Let me preface this next part by saying that yes, I am aware that I'm an asshole, but it was really, really funny. Knowing full well that we had to keep a straight face and knowing full well that the patient's family could see him, I played this song on my phone while staring at him like this.
We represent the lollipop guild, the lollipop guild, the lollipop guild.
I am not proud of my actions that day, but anybody who does this job knows that you never pass up on an opportunity to f with your partner, especially when it's an opportunity that rare.
As you might expect, a lot of people took severe offense to this and accused him of having a complete lack of empathy for the deceased. This man, regardless of his stature, had just died, his family were grieving, and he decides to whip on the Lollipop Guild song from The Wizard of Oz. Obviously, it's the song that the Munchkins sing at the start of the movie. What might surprise you more though was that there were a lot of people who came out in support of Krickenberger. Their argument for the most part relied on the idea that paramedics and first responders almost exclusively have very dark senses of humour. It's essentially a requirement for the job because each and every day of your life you're heading out into the world and encountering people who are on the very precipice of death. Some of these people will not survive, and sometimes it can get very tragic. Therefore, a lot of them will turn to very dark humour as a way to try and escape the pain that they witness. However, as Krickenberger would say later upon reflection, there's a right time and place to crack a dark joke. In sight of the deceased's family is not that time. This video would inevitably receive a lot of backlash. Many people with dwarfism came out to express their hurt that these sorts of things were said, and shortly after, the Sleepy Paramedic's video would be deleted. Of course, it was only natural that he would later address the controversy, apologising at length for what he did. According to Business Insider, Krickenberger said that he received hundreds of messages, emails and comments expressing disgust and disappointment with his first video. He also claimed that he had received death threats. For a while, it appeared as though this controversy would be the end of the Sleepy Paramedic. In fact, at one point, his TikTok bio read, "Sorry guys, too many threats. I'm out. Be good to each other." Even within his apology, he alluded to potentially calling it quits.
The fact that I've got 700,000 people on here that log on to this app and listen to what I have to say. Maybe I just need to get off TikTok altogether. Or maybe I've become so fucking jaded that it's time to look into doing something different.
However, in the end, that was not meant to be. Roughly 4 weeks after this incident faced tremendous recoil, the Sleepy Paramedic would once again return to tremendous support from his community. Many people seem to come to the conclusion that while yes, he made a mistake, he wasn't actually a bad person. At the very least, people were willing to give him a sporting chance to come back into the fold. And that reminds me of a sporting tournament that was forced to delete a TikTok after people found it to be insensitive and tasteless. So the sporting tournament in question is known as the FA Cup, and for anyone who's never heard of this competition before, Americans, I'm looking at you, this is an annual contest held in English domestic football. It's the oldest national football tournament in the world, and according to online sources, I've been led to believe that the final of the FA Cup is estimated to be seen by roughly 500 million people. For context, the 2023 Super Bowl was estimated to be watched by roughly 115 million people, so the FA Cup is watched by roughly 4 times more. What I'm trying to say is that the stakes are high, the glory of the competition is even higher, but the fumbles are just as low. Back in December 2022, Stockport County played Charlton Athletic in the second round of the FA Cup. This game was a replay after their initial match ended in a 2-2 draw, and during this match, a Stockport player named Macaulay Southern-Hales went in to challenge for the ball when he was outmuscled by his Charlton counterpart. This led him to losing his footing, and he would crash at high speed into the surrounding advertisement barrier. In that moment, anything could have happened. When you're running at those speeds and with that power, it can be incredibly dangerous, and to be honest, Southern-Hales was actually quite fortunate not to come off worse. Stockport's manager, Dave Challoner, even said that Southern-Hales was an inch away from potentially fracturing his skull in the collision, going on to say that Southern-Hales had a whopper of an egg on the back of his head. But that didn't stop whoever was in charge of the official FA Cup TikTok account from posting the clip, which was dubbed over with a 1980s advert for a Nestle Crunch.
That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
As you might expect, this video caused outrage online, with people on Twitter in particular being very mad at the clip. Former Premier League striker and current pundit Chris Susson came out to tweet that, "This is really not on from the Emirates FA Cup. There is nothing funny about serious head injuries." To make matters worse, Macaulay Southern-Hales' own mother would then pile on, writing, "This made me feel physically sick. What poor taste this was, and definitely not a joke when he ended up in the hospital. Just wow." Southern-Hales was left in a neck brace following the incident, but would eventually make a full recovery despite the scare. In a BBC article about the incident, it was stated that the FA had apologised to the fullback for the careless video, and as you might expect, it was later removed. It's always a sight to see when it's a company who receive backlash for their social media posts, but at the end of the day, these companies are run by people, and to err is human. Though over the past year or so, we've been seeing more and more content that appears to be inhuman. Since March of 2023, TikTok has had restrictions put in place regarding AI-generated content. In particular, AI-generated true crime deep-faked minors. So let's talk about it. If you've got a TikTok algorithm like me, it's likely that you regularly witness AI brain rot on the app. Usually it's some obese professor dressed up in a suit with an Irish accent talking about how the class is about to learn about Skibbity Ohio Riz and open their textbooks to the history of how Baby Gronk became a Sigma able to speak to level 10 Gyats like Ice Spice. This is the kind of stuff I get on the regular.
Sushi baka waifu omae wa mo shinderu, nani? I suppose you're looking kawaii today.
That said, just shy of a year ago, TikTok came out to say that it would be clamping down on AI-generated content in the wake of it becoming more accessible to the public. Something you might not have noticed, however, is that essentially every AI-generated character on TikTok is some sort of a grotesque abomination. They're usually some sort of a stereotype, more often than not morbidly obese, but have you ever wondered why? I mean, yes, these characters look kind of funny, they're so absurd that a viewer just has to stick around to watch, but another reason is that it's against TikTok's terms of service to use the likeness of a real person. Therefore, you can't generate AI of Kai Cenat and Aiden Ross talking about Rizonomics, you have to have an original AI creation of someone who doesn't exist. Furthermore, according to my source on this topic, The Standard, AI-generated material that depicts realistic scenes will also need to be tagged appropriately with the words such as synthetic, fake, altered, or not real. One reason is that people, when handed this technology, immediately take it way too far. Back in spring of last year, there was an arguably disturbing trend circulating on the short form app in which true crime victims would have their likeness generated via AI and they would tell the stories of their demise over TikTok. Many of these victims were children, and these children were victims of horrendous, unfathomable tragedies. And then some basement dweller would try to make money on a 2-cent CPM by telling the story of their death. These stories were also factually inaccurate a lot of the time. For example, in an article written by the Rolling Stone, they referenced an account called True Story Now. In one instance, this account told the story of how a true crime victim died, getting their name slightly incorrect, their race completely incorrect, and the age of their death off by about 20 years. There are some extreme similarities to an actual case. This is definitely trying to tell a real story, however, there are many small inaccuracies throughout. Whether this is carelessness by True Story Now, whether this is disrespect for someone who was already given no chance at life, or whether this is them trying to avert this policy, I can't say for certain, though I would hedge my bets on the former. The Rolling Stone article quotes an assistant of criminal justice at the University of New Haven named Paul Bleakley, who said, "They're quite strange and creepy. They seem designed to trigger strong emotional reaction because it's the surest-fire way to get clicks and likes. It's uncomfortable to watch, but I think that might be the point." These stories don't ask consent from the family, they constantly get facts wrong, and I don't know about you, but to me, they come off as incredibly disrespectful. This might be a symptom of a much larger problem, that mostly being the rules and regulations of AI and deepfake technology. We're at a point in time in which technological advancements are moving so fast, can we actually expect politicians to truly understand it? That being said, politicians aren't the only ones to misunderstand things. The common folk are just as likely, perhaps even more likely, to do that too. Case in point, Osama bin Laden's infamous letter to the United States, which has been absolutely blacklisted by TikTok. If you weren't active on social media in mid-November 2023, perhaps you missed this story which blew up in popularity for about a week on TikTok before the powers that be deemed that this was problematic and swiftly had all mentions of the letter removed from the service. Some context, if you need it, is that bin Laden, or OBL as I'm going to call him from here on out, wrote a letter to the United States that was published in 2002 that attempted to justify why he and his band of brothers did what they did. If you don't know what OBL did, there is a particular day in September in which we have a memorial for it. I apologise for dancing around this topic, but YouTube censors can be a bit weird for this kind of stuff. Now, for a long time, people apparently thought that he did it because he hated Americans and Western culture and freedom and all that, but there really was a lot more that went into it. And apparently, people didn't know that. Amongst many other things, OBL really despised the USA's attitude towards foreign policy within the Middle East. The States has been present in Middle Eastern conflicts a lot over the past 20 years, but also much before that, and they have arguably had a large hand in how things have shaped up ever since. Let me say, in case you can't tell by the sound of my voice, I'm British, and I don't want to be a hypocrite here, we are far from blameless either. However, post-World War II, America's influence on the world has been going up, only up, whereas Britain's has been on a very sharp decline. History lesson over, in late 2023, you might be aware that things kicked off once again between Israel and Palestine, and this is when people found OBL's letter to the States once more. Just to quote off Wikipedia for a moment, in the letter, OBL criticises American foreign policy in the Middle East, particularly as it applies to its support of Israel to justify attacks on American targets. It also employs anti-Semitic tropes. If you can believe this, a small number of people on TikTok saw this letter and later went on to upload videos saying that they could kind of understand where he was coming from. Many news outlets were criticised for arguably blowing this out of proportion, making headlines to make it seem as though the entire of Gen Z were just these OBL supporting lunatics, even though it was just a few. Of course, then everyone else started hopping on it. Ludwig, for example, came out with a video titled "Insane Day on TikTok," which was a risky title, essentially calling it a non-story.
That's not the storyline people want to hear, right? People want to hear TikTokers are now justifying the 9/11 attacks and praising Osama bin Laden. No, TikTokers are looking at Sam Sulek get fucking huge for winter. That's what the TikTok, I'm on TikTok, that's what they're doing. And not to say it's not happening, but it's just not happening at the rate that people are thinking it's happening if you were to just go on twitter.com.
If you want the other side of the argument, commentary YouTuber Achito then came out with his video, "Why Did Ludwig Post This?", in which he attacked Ludwig's video, saying that it was strange that he didn't condemn the people that said that OBL might have a point.
He spends more time in this video like downplaying the quantity of people posting these videos rather than actually saying like, yeah, although the amount of people making these videos is low, what they're saying is like disgusting, like the sympathy they're showing for like a literal terrorist is good. But he's not doing that. He's like, well, it's barely happening, guys. Like, just turn your head away. Don't look at these people. Ignore them. They're a negligible amount of people. But at this point in time, I feel like that's a weird take to have. Like, why not just condemn them? Like, let's say only 20 people made videos saying Osama bin Laden rocks, right? Let's say those videos have a total of 5 million views. That's like a drop in the ocean when it comes to, you know, TikTok views. But then all these other articles who are covering it, they're blowing it up even further. At the end of the day, why complain about the articles talking about the bad thing rather than like the actual bad thing?
All things said, this was only going to end in one way. If in a couple of years' time, Generation Alpha upload videos to TikTok, or perhaps whatever comes after that, and they found Mein Kampf, and they upload videos saying, oh, this was a terrible book, it was awful, and all that, but pages 45, 76, and 108 were absolutely incredible, entirely based, the exact same thing would happen. Some people weren't happy that this content was scrubbed off the platform, saying that censorship is dangerous and that we shouldn't be restricting information. Others, though, thought that the move was probably for the best, as the message itself could potentially be seen as dangerous. But as I said, TikTok was quick to make this content illegal on the platform, and so that concludes that. And that essentially concludes the video. If you enjoyed this, why not show it by giving this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would truly help this video, it would help this channel kind of push it in the algorithm, and I would truly appreciate it. If you're interested in seeing more from me, then why not check out my video on the internet's strangest digital crimes. I personally thought the video was fantastic, but YouTube's algorithm severely disagreed, so it'd be great if you could check it out. Aside from that, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.